Hello everyone. Today we are going to learn how to check operating expenses in a company. So let's get started. The first thing we have to see is that there is no directional risk. What do I mean by directional risk? It is either the overstatement or understatement of balances. For example, in cash and bank balances, there is a risk of overstatement because the company would want to show a higher cash position in its financial statements to show a better position of the company. But in case of operating expenses, there could be overstatement or even understatement. If the company wants to pay lower tax, then it will overstate its expenses. And if the company wants to show higher profits, then it can understate the expenses. So there is no directional risk. So these are the elements of operating expenses: rent, legal and professional expenses, traveling expenses, and repairs and maintenance. So how do we check rent? First of all, we can verify the rent invoice and we can see the rent payment that has to be made every month. Then we can look at the rent agreement, and the main lookout here would be the escalation clause, which means that, for example, there can be an escalation clause of increase of 15% in rent after 3 years. So we have to recalculate the rent while keeping the escalation clause into account, and then we have to verify it with the trial balance. This is how you check the rent amount. And there is also a risk of related party transactions. For example, if someone takes the home on rent with someone that they are related with, then they can forge the documents. They can say that instead of 20,000 per month, you take 40,000 per month from me, and I will divert the funds of 20,000 per month into other personal expenses. So that is the risk of fraud that we have to check in the rent agreement. Yeah. So next point is the legal and professional expenses. You can check these expenses by sampling on a high value basis. So how we perform sampling is something that I will tell you guys in the next lecture. But now we'll just assume that on a high value basis, we have selected a sample. The main lookout here in legal and professional expenses would be that usually a company only takes service from a few providers. So if in the list of invoices in the in the ledger, you see that there are many service providers, and all of a sudden you see a new service provider, then it would be wise to investigate into it. So the next part is traveling expenses. Again, we can sample on high value basis here. The main lookout here would be inclusion of personal traveling expenses. People usually include their personal expense trips into this business expenses. So that is what the auditor has to look out for. And also, the company usually has the policy that if you show a genuine invoice of the traveling that you did, you will get a full reimbursement of it. So the auditor has to check the genuineness of these invoices and make a call on that basis. So the last element of operating expenses is repairs and maintenance. Here also you can do a sampling on high value basis, and you can also perform ledger scrutiny, because repairs and maintenance usually happens on a monthly basis. So we can see if the expenses for 12 months have been included, or more than that, or even less than 12 months expenses could be included in it, which can only be found out by performing the ledger scrutiny. So friends, that is how you check operating expenses in a company. Hope you all learned something new today. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.